Julie's having some minor technology problems, but we will get started in just a few minutes, everybody. It's very nice to see you. If you would like to go ahead, we would love to know who's in the room. So if you can drop your information into the chat, just drop your company name, what you would like to see at this presentation. And we will be using the Q&A for questions in the chat. We're going to be dropping links. So go ahead and put your information into the chat. Again, love to hear who's in the room. I use this as a networking opportunity. Thank you, everyone that's dropping their information. I love it. Everyone's being good. All right. Thank you so much. I see the presentation up. Julie must be back here.
Yes.
Julie, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Susan. And thanks everybody for being here. I'm looking at the chat, and what's really awesome is seeing familiar names from either last month's or previous month's member-only webinars, as well as some people that we met just earlier this week at an in-person event. So super thrilled that you're taking time out of your busy day and busy schedules to join us again. We love to be a conduit of knowledge. We love collaborating with people, and we love government contracts. So we're going to go ahead and get formally started. And as Susan said, go ahead, if you haven't already, put your information in the chat and use this as a networking opportunity, because you never know when you're going to be somewhere on an educational session, event, that somebody needs either the goods, products, or services that you provide, or that you're able to be a connector to put someone in a situation where you know somebody that you met that might need their products or services. So we really stress helping each other out and using every opportunity for that. Welcome and good afternoon. Our session today is going to focus on informal and formal purchases, which are two of the main types of purchases in government contracting. And like Susan and I love to say, checks cash the same way. Your bank account doesn't matter if it's a formal or an informal, and trust us, we're small businesses too. Your payroll doesn't matter whether it's a formal or an informal contract, or if you're a sub or a prime. Checks cash the same way. I'm Julie Hartman with B2G Victory, one of the co-founders. You met earlier, Susan Repka, one of the other co-founders, and together with a team of a few others, we are B2G Victory. Our name says it all. We focus 100%, 130% effort, 1,000 hours every day, every week, in helping businesses win government contracts. And B2G Victory, right? So business to government and victory. We really wanted, when we sat down back in 2020 and we're starting to form this company together, really wanted to make sure that the name communicated what we did, as well as we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that we were results focused and oriented and committed to everybody's success. How do we do what we do? We broke our services into some main categories regarding certifications and recertifications. Capture management is the umbrella or bucket for helping businesses align their business plan, their business strategy, and their focus in the government space through opportunity, strategy, and execution of those. And then once you find it, the proposals, the bids, right? Where do we go to find them? How do we respond to them? I need help writing them and all of that. And then registration. I see a few of our government agency friends that have joined us, so thanks so much for being here. In this space, you've got to be registered, whether that is with a government agency, a state agency, a local agency, or with the prime contractor. So making sure that your registrations are correct, positioning you for work and opportunities, as well as making sure that you are in as many applicable vendor registrations so that you can get those opportunities. Process improvement. Depending on where you are in this journey in government contracting, we want to make sure that you are applying industry best trends and practices and making sure that you're benchmarking, setting metrics and KPIs for growth and success. Training and education and coaching. Obviously, today is a great example of that, whether that's training and education in a group format. Just yesterday, no, Wednesday, sorry, Susan did an in-person training with Lift Fund on the hub certification process. Yesterday, we did a webinar with Harris County on capability statements, right? And so we've got lots of opportunities regarding training and education, as well as coaching. If you've got some specific challenges that you're facing or specific goals that you need help with, we are capable, able, and ready to help you with some one-on-one coaching and consulting. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. B2G collectively, Susan and I, why are we qualified to be here? Why are we even doing these sessions and seminars to help businesses? A little bit about us. Certified woman business owner with 3 different companies. This is the 3rd company, and Susan's been a part of every single one of them, getting them certified. And keeping in that, I'm a certified proposal manager. The first proposal I did back in 2000, I had no idea what I was doing, and was able to go get the proper training and education to have a success rate of 89%, with $4.5 billion in awards for clients. I'm a product of the training and resources and education that's available out there. Cohort 1 of Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small business. I've gone through Port Houston's Port Houston's Opportunity U and the Interagency Mentor Protege Program. And we're super excited to announce that B2G Victory is now a mentor in that program. So not only have we gone through it as a participant, as well as a subject matter expert contributing to the content, now we are a mentor. So really exciting things going on with B2G Victory. And co-founder of B2G Victory, Susan Repka, a certified woman business owner as well, and comes with a wealth of knowledge in the certification space and the proposal space, and almost 3 decades of working exclusively with small businesses. Was the executive director of the WBEA and the Women's Contractors Association, and has been recognized by numerous organizations with all of the impact that she's done in this space. And she is going to be dropping all of the information in the chat. So we wanted to make sure that you have ways to connect with us after today, or even during, if you want to like and follow us on our socials, and to be able to continue the conversation. We know as entrepreneurs, we don't work 8 to 5, and life happens outside. So want to make sure to be able to give you all of the resources that you need to connect with us on all of the different platforms, any hours of the day. So what are we going to talk about during our time together? Well, we're going to take a very deep dive into the formal versus informal processes. What does even all of that mean in procurement thresholds? How to research. So how do you find these opportunities, whether it's a $20,000 opportunity, a $50,000, $100,000, $500,000, or millions, right? How do we find them? And then strategies, right? It's all about strategy and the execution of that strategy to stand out from the competition. And how do you create proposal contents to respond faster and win more work? If that's one thing that the COVID pandemic taught us, is the importance of being organized and the importance the ability to respond faster, right? And using technology to leverage that. We've got an hour together today, and we want to make sure that we are giving you a return on your investment. It is one of our passions to make sure that you get content and value out of today that not only you can use today, right now, right, that you can use next week, and want you to think about your implementation, your cadence of the content that we're delivering, and not be overwhelmed, and think about, okay, what is reasonable for me to do this week or next week with my business, right? Still got a few hours left in Friday. Is this something that I have to do as a business owner in Q3, or is this something I can delegate to my team members or go find an outside resource to help me either in Q3, Q4, or Q1? All right. So we really want you to think about that and take the ideas from today and turn them into actions, which will lead you ultimately to victory. So whether that is a piece of paper that you're going to divide in fours, or your phone, or a notepad, however you want to capture these, let's make sure that you're successful. We're on Zoom, and we're using both tools in Zoom, the Q&A to drop in your questions and answers, as well as, put your contact information, if you haven't already, in the chat, as well as that's where Susan is going to be dropping all of these great links for you to be able to access these screenshots that we're going to show you of the website. And then as we go through, we want this to be interactive. If there's something that is a big, oh my gosh moment, or that you want to share that you are implementing into your victory plan that we cover, go ahead and share that, right? Because we want to be able to continue to encourage each other and celebrate each other's victories. And then that also contributes to the overall energy of the session. Whatever you put in today's session, we're going to give it back to you 100-fold. Let's talk about opportunity, right? There is over $1 trillion with a T, trillion dollars in opportunities. And this is formal and informal opportunities in the education space. So what that is that school districts, colleges, and universities, this is their annual spend, right? They purchase a lot. So as we're going through this session together, think about, would a school district, higher education, or community college be a target client for you? Because their businesses, they're run as a business. They need lots of things, not only curriculum and school books for the kids, but vending machines. They need parking lot repairs. They need IT and technology improvements, all sorts of things. They need paper for the teachers. So it might be advantageous for you to think about how you can diversify and expand your business in the education space with $1 trillion worth of spend. Bids and RFPs published annually typically run about $3 million in the education space. And there are over 13,000, I moved a comma, 13,800 school districts in the United States. So that is a lot of opportunity just in the education space. And we're going to talk about federal, state, as well as local. So the B2G Victory Portal, y'all are here today and giving us, an hour of your time. But what happens tomorrow afternoon if you're working on your business or even in your business, Sunday evening after, your family dinner, or Monday, at 2 o'clock or anytime? We have been building and improving the B2G Victory Portal. And what that is your anytime access for quick answers, a source of truth. We want to end frustration. We want to break down those barriers, save you time and money, and help you build your capacity. So that's what the B2G Victory Portal is all about. And we want to make sure that you have access to it. There's a free membership as well as a $50 a month paid membership. that you can get resources. Today's recording, last week's recording, all of the monthly membership sessions are posted up on the portal, plus 300 other videos as well. Formal versus informal opportunities. What does that mean? And I've used those two words quite a bit already. In the government space, every dollar has to be tracked. Every dollar has to be tracked because that provides fiscal transparency. These are your tax dollars, whether it's local taxes, state taxes, sales tax, federal taxes, it all has to be tracked through a procurement process. And every agency has a procurement department. And the two types of procurements are formal or informal. Okay, so some of these words, pardon me, you might have heard before. An RFP, which stands for request for proposal, an RFQ stands for either a request for information, a request for qualifications, or a request for quote. An IFB, invitation for bid. So this is an example of a procurement threshold that defines what a formal opportunity is and what an informal opportunity is. And each government agency has policies, procurement policies that define this. For example, the state of Texas, because we're based in Texas, the state of Texas threshold is 50,000. However, there was legislation that was passed that in the new fiscal year, 2026, the thresholds are going to increase and change. So now formal procurements are going to be above 100,000 and informals will be $100,000 and below, which to me just quadruples, doubles all of the opportunities for businesses in this space, because getting an informal opportunity now has expanded. Exactly. Wow. And we want to talk about that, right? And I want to encourage you to think about what are 5 government agencies that you want to work with, right? And then you're going to research those and find out if they buy what you have and what you need, your products and your services. Then you're going to go to their website and find their procurement policy. If you need any help doing any of that, we're here and available to help you with that. So formals, think big dollars, informal, smaller dollars. But how many of you, if I said there was an informal opportunity for $40,000 and all you would need to do is provide a quote, that could be a standard quote of yours or filling out that agency's quote form for whether that's a product or a service, right? How many of you would say, I'll take a $40,000 contract, or I'll submit my information for the opportunity of a $40,000 contract? Absolutely, right? And think about if you did 5 agencies and you got $40,000 informal contracts from 5 agencies. I can do that math really fast. That's $200,000. That truly could change the trajectory of your business. I see a question from Robert. Can we get a copy of the slide presentation? You know what, Robert, we're going to do something even better. We are recording this and we are going to send you the link to the recording. Give us about a week because got to process it and then upload it and then send you all the link. But yes, we do even better than that. And there are lots of other videos on the portal with similar types of content, whether they're in 2-minute, 5-minute little micro learning sessions as well. So you don't have to listen to us for 60 minutes if you don't want to. So your action item from just these first couple of minutes that we've been together is figure out 5 agencies, go and research their procurement process and see where that threshold is. We're just using examples here, but a lot of government agencies will either follow the federal procurement guidelines or their state procurement guidelines. You can tell that I get really excited and really passionate about this. What's the takeaway here? Checks cash the same way, right? So let's talk about the informal process. Um, each government agency has a process, right, that allows bidding for smaller projects, okay? And these are pricing only, pretty easy to respond to. Once again, getting back to the importance of having your stuff together and being able to respond quicker and faster. And the informal process, just like everything in life, has a cost benefit analysis. If you do have your certifications, um, some government agencies will allow small women minority business enterprises. That's what the SMWBE stands for, participation, right? So that helps the agencies hit their goals. Once again, you know, determine 5 agencies that you want to work with, and let's put together a strategic plan for that. Also, one of the benefits for informal procurements is it allows you, as the small business or the woman-owned business or the minority-owned business or the veteran-owned business, to get experience in this space and see if this is even the right fit for you, right? And it also helps give you past performance. It helps you understand this whole process. Informal bids are very relationship driven. Agencies also post on their website formal and informal. So make sure when you're doing your research that we're going to talk about that you look at that. Some school districts may have fewer informal bids due to the number of students, and also due to their bonds, right? And the most important thing to find out about informal or formal bids is you must be registered in their database, right? If you're registered, which is free, then you are going to find out about the opportunities. So what does that roadmap for success look like in the informal procurement process? Well, what is the type of procurement? What is the value for it for the year, right? So we're talking about procurement thresholds within a calendar year, right? So if we use a state agency, their fiscal year could start either in August or September. Once again, this is great timing for you to be on this session right now because it's July. So if their fiscal year either starts in August, September, or October, guess what? That threshold now is just reset, which is amazing, right? For you and your business. You're going to want to do a vendor search. So when we talk about that calendar year, that does also include change orders and amendments, right? So all of that within that calendar year needs to stay within that threshold. So for example, in this presentation, we're going to use the procurement threshold of a formal versus informal at $50,000. So in a 12-month period, your business could not do more than $50,000 with that one agency, or it has to get moved to a formal opportunity.
Julie, we do have a question.
Oh, awesome.
Somebody wants to know about the strategic plan you've mentioned a couple of times, and how did they become a part of that strategic planning?
Great question, and thanks for the engagement. So what we'll do is Susan's going to drop in the chat the link on our website that you can book a 15-minute consultation with us. We'll talk about your challenges and then your goals, and then we'll put together the right coaching plan or the right package of services that we offer in order to make that happen for you. Correct. And they're all customized. Thank you so much. You're going to do a vendor search, right? And we encourage you to limit it to 5, or else you're going to spend so much time searching. So think about your top 5, do your vendor search, which we'll show you how to do. Entities are going to advertise these opportunities, whether that is through their platform, their bonfire, or we know quite a few government agencies, and Kaleo with Travis County is here joining us again. Travis County puts a lot of their opportunities on their social media. They also really talk about and promote where they're going to be out and about. So once again, being able to know where to be and have find those out. I'll use Harris County as another example. Harris County every week on their LinkedIn posts their formal and informal opportunities with the link to their website to go find them. So make sure that when you're identifying those 5 agencies to start off with, that you're also connecting with them on their socials so you can find out about opportunities. And then the different ways to market those opportunities. And then the agency will say, how do they want you to quote, right? Do you need to go on Bonfire and fill out the Excel spreadsheet? Is it a PDF form? Or is it okay with just an email? Or maybe it can be an estimate out of your QuickBooks or whatever platform that you use.
All right, Julie, we have another question. How do we tap into these informal opportunities as a new vendor to the agency? It is my understanding that informal opportunities are only to those that have established relationships.
This question is a great one because a lot of people think that these barriers to entry are just too big and too hard. And so when you go to the agency's website, they'll list their buyers, right? And then depending on what product and service you use, you can connect directly with their buyer. Another way that you could do is work with the hub coordinator. I'm gonna profile Kaleo again with Travis County. Kaleo helps and is part of the Travis County hub program. So he helps businesses like yours and like everyone on this call do business with Travis County. Harris County has a very similar program, DEO. Port Houston has the SMWBE program. So you can, we like to say at the front door or the back door, you can go through the buyer, or you can also reach out and find the strategic purchasing person, the hub coordinator, the supplier diversity. And next week on our website, on the B2G Victory portal, we are going to post all, and it's updated now, the list of all of the state of Texas hub coordinators. So if any of the 200 plus state of Texas agencies you want to do work with, we've got the phone number, the email address, and all of the social media for all of the hub coordinators. So you can reach out directly to them and they can help guide you through the process as well. I'm going to circle the other question, but for the strategic plan, I want to know better what they cover. Please give an example so we can understand what I'm missing. So we talk about in identifying what are those 5 agencies, talk about how to maximize your certifications, which certifications do you have, what certifications do those agencies want, how do you leverage those, as well as getting your proposal library organized, as well as making sure that it's responsive and getting you set up for that, and then even helping you respond to proposals. So there's just kind of a highlight of that. After the procurement team gets the quotes from all of the different people that have responded, and in most informal procurement opportunities, they only need 3 quotes. So the procurement team is going to take the quotes, evaluate, and see which vendor is the best. I'm going to pause here. Best value. The best value for the entity. It is not always lowest price, and that's also a big misconception in this space. We're going to get the lowest price people to build us a rocket to send people to the moon. That is not the case. And there may be some additional information beyond pricing, possibly a copy of your insurance, which is also known as a COI, maybe a warranty, or some other backup information, depending on, right, the type of product or service that you're doing. But the requirement for all businesses to do an informal procurement is you must be listed as a vendor in their database. They've got to be able, once again, to track that spend, whether it's formal or informal. You'll typically be asked when you set up your profile to upload a W-9, right? So why do they need a W-9? So that they can pay you, right? And your bank information. So remember that they're going to evaluate things and then they'll make the purchase, right? And then you'll move through that process. And so we've had lots of great questions so far in the chat and in the Q&A. And when Susan and I started building the portal back in 2020, where did we go to get questions? We actually went through all of our historic seminars and webinars and put those questions that people asked in the portal. So there are no silly questions. We just have answers, right? And so if you've got an additional question after today, I encourage you to go to the portal and put in the FAQs. And I bet you we've got an answer for you. And if not, Susan's going to drop in the email address of hello@B2G And if there is not an answer to your question, we will do one of two things. We will answer it, and then we will also upload it to the portal, because if you're asking those questions, I am sure that someone else in this space with a similar type of business or in a similar part in this process has that same question, and we want to be able to provide the answer. The formal process. This is where most people think of when they think of government contracting is formal, right? They think about an RFP or an RFQ. So once again, the type of procurement is formal, and we are over that $50,000 threshold. We're going to kind of go through the formal procurement roadmap, just like we did the informal. But we don't want you to be stressed out. A lot of people are like, this is just too much. This is a stressful experience, and I don't want to do it. I've been doing proposals for over 2 decades. Susan's been in this space doing procurement for 2 decades and 10 years doing proposals. So we get it. We're learning every single day as well, because every response from every agency is not the same. We look at proposals from different agencies, from federal, state, local, all across the nation, and not a single one of them is exactly the same. So don't be discouraged. Don't be stressed out. We're going to help you every step of the way. Lots more acronyms in this space. So we're going to talk through the 3 big ones: RFQ, IFB, and RFP. And there are little snippet videos for each one of these up on the portal, as well as definitions and FAQs that support these. So just going to go through them fairly quickly. An RFQ, a request for qualification. Typical types of things that are asked for in an RFQ are bulleted there. Back to the question regarding the strategy session, we make sure that you have all of this required information for the type of procurement that you want to go after, as well as that you're able to quickly access it all. So an RFQ is the procurement mechanism that an agency says, I need this done. Are you able to either build it, design it, deliver it, or provide it, right? Some agencies use RFQ as a request for quote in the informal space, that I just need a quote, I just need a price. So make sure that when you see RFQ, that you're taking a little bit deeper dive. And the first thing that we do when we see the acronym RFQ is we look at the purchasing threshold. So then that tells us, is it a quote or is it a qualifications? Because if it's a request for qualifications, there is no price in your response, right? So can you do the work? Are you qualified to do the work? So types of things that they ask for in this are references, your approach, your team qualifications, and there are probably going to be some forms and attachments. And you're able to get a bid tabulation for those. An IFB is an invitation for bid. I need this done. What will you charge me? So the difference between an RFQ and an IFB, RFQ, request for qualifications, is focused on, are you qualified and can you do the work? An IFB is focused on the price. How much are you going to charge me? And then what are the supporting things that I need from an agency lens to justify that price? The best price, right? Not always the cheapest price, but the best price. And how does an agency determine the best price? Well, I'm going to look at your references. I'm going to look, if this is in the construction space example, I'm going to look at your EMR. I'm going to look at the qualifications of your project manager and your team. There are some very specific items that you will see when you're doing an IFB. There might even be brand names that are mentioned if it works in that space as well. This last acronym is synonymous in government contracting, which is a request for proposal. I want to be very clear that not everything is an RFP, but that is just the common word that a lot of people use. An RFP is the agency's way of saying, I have this problem, or I have this challenge, or we have this project. I want you to tell me or provide to me or respond to me the best solution. How much will it cost me? And can you do it? So an RFP, if you think about it, is the combination of an RFQ and an IFB plus more, right? Plus more. You're going to need to really elaborate your team, your references, your past performance, your approach. You might even need reference letters versus just listing your references. There's going to be additional information about your past projects, all of those types of things. And what's most important on all three of these, whether it's an RFQ, an IFB, or an RFP, is that you understand the agency. And that's why that research is so, so critical, as well as what differentiates you from your competition. And those are things that we also work on in the strategy session with you once we've identified those agencies. All three of these could have a pre-bid meeting, whether that's in person or virtual, or a pre-submission conference. Those words are used interchangeably by different agencies. So you're going to want to attend that, or at least get the listing of it, because that provides transparency in this space on who is also pursuing this work. Then you will submit it. The agency receives those responses. They'll evaluate the results, very similar to informal, and then they'll make the purchase, whether it's a 1-year purchase, a 1 year with 2 renewals, a 1 year with 5 renewals, or what have you. So an action item from this section could be, I'm going to go to the B2G Victory portal, and I'm going to look up in the glossary some of these words that I found either in an informal opportunity or a formal opportunity, because they're both a little bit of light reading to help you understand the terminology in this space. Subcontracting is a great way to get your foot in the door and to grow and scale your business, whether it's in the informal or the formal space. So different agencies have different goals, and those different goals are typically set for informal opportunities, or it might be 100% goal for an informal opportunity. So here's just some examples of some government agencies that have different types of goals, as well as the different percentages. So how do we hit those goals and provide the scope of services that our businesses are able to, and be on these larger contracts, right? These formal contracts. Well, there is a hierarchy in this space. So a prime contractor will be the project manager or the owner of the contract. Then you might have multiple subcontractors on it. So, for example, in a construction space, right? This is one that a lot of people are able to relate to. I've got the general contractor or the GC, the project manager. They hold the contract. They're the ones who did the big RFP. Well, if I'm going to do some renovation work, I need a painting and sheetrock company, I need an HVAC company, and I need an electrical company, right? And so I can provide one of those services. So I'm going to put on my electrical company hat, and I'm able to be a part now of this large formal contract. I'm only going to do the electrical work, and I'm a subcontractor of that. So to summarize that, the general contractor or project manager is the prime. They are ultimately responsible for the project success. They're responsible for managing all of the subs, the invoicing, all of those big insurance requirements that are on the RFP. They are the primary contact going back and forth, whether that's daily or weekly with the agency. And they're the ones that are responsible for the small business, minority women, all of those goal reporting. So I'm going to put back on my electrical company hat as my subcontractor. What do I do? Well, I'm going to do the work, whatever that scope of work is that was listed in the formal opportunity. I am just going to do the electrical scope of work. Not going to worry my pretty little head about the painting or the sheetrock or the HVAC. I am just going to do my scope of work on this job. So when you're researching opportunities and you're looking at formal and informal, go ahead and take a deeper dive on one of the formal opportunities and look into that scope and see if that is applicable to what you do, because you're going to do the work, you're going to invoice the prime, and then you're also going to be a great team player, right? So if you know and meet other people that are on the team, and you can cross refer them, because checks cash the same way. Checks cash the same way, whether you're a prime or you're a subcontractor, right? So I mentioned quite a bit about research, and I want to make sure as we're starting to come towards the end of our time together that we talk about that. So you want to make sure that you visit and register with government entities. Find and identify your top 5. All right. And then you're just going to go to that agency's website. So, for example, this is doing business with MSCS, right? So it talks about how you do business with this government agency. And then, as you can see on the side right there on the left, it has the Women Minority Business Program. So the MWBE program. So it will also tell you if you're eligible for that and what those eligibility requirements are. You'll want to make sure to register as a vendor. I know that we have quite a few people from all over the US on this call, so I want to make sure to point out that this is with the school district in Memphis, Tennessee, right? Or human resources is a really good example of the possibility on an agency's website for either formal or informal, right? So they may not go out to bid, but that agency still needs your services. So you'll be able to find out on the website how to do business with them. You'll be able to find out who their buyers are in their procurement department, as well as what their procurement thresholds are. And then you can get registered with that agency, email the buyer or the director of procurement, send them your capability statement, and start that conversation. That's just one way and one strategy that you can do to get and win formal or informal work. So on the portal, we've got some blogs. So if you want to do some quick reads, so quick reads equals big wins. And so one of the blog examples on the portal is a buyer's meeting, your 5 steps for your buyer's meeting. And you can see here on that, there's another one that says 2 meetings that really matter, right? So how are you going to prepare yourself for those buyer meetings or those procurement meetings, or meeting with the hub coordinators if we're using a state of Texas example? How do you market your certifications? We've got a blog post on that, right? Once you've got that paper, what are you doing and how are you using that certification to leverage and have your business stand apart, as well as getting those getting those contracts, whether they're formal or informal? I'd like to pause and see if there are any other questions that have come into the chat, or any thing that anybody wants to share that they've gained so far during our time together. Maybe you want to put in the chat something that is that you put in your victory plan. So maybe what is that one thing or two? And then when are you going to execute it? So what was the idea? And then when do you plan on executing it? All right, I see a question. I may not, is this where the bids are listed? Are you looking for different information?
All
So
right, so that was me. Dr. Gullary was asking about TxDOT, and so I had dropped in the link to TxDOT Bonfire. So I am going to allow her to talk so that she can maybe give us some additional information. All right, so you
Hi, thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Yes. What are the, I looked on Bonfire and I don't see it on Bonfire, but I'm gonna go back to the other link you gave me. I'm gonna check there and see if I can find some information on it.
Oh, so what are you looking for?
Well, it's a solicitation, and I want
The TxDOT Bonfire has about like a page of them listed, open, and then there's also closed ones listed. If
yeah,
you
the
want to
one I was looking
schedule,
for. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I apologize.
okay, you were looking for what?
It was in the area for like real estate.
Oh,
That's
there was one for real estate, but it may have already closed.
no, it was one for real estate brokerage, and I didn't see
Okay,
anything. That's the reason why.
okay, we'll continue on. I'll see if I can find it for you.
Right. And I want to speak with you after the meeting anyway.
Okay, you schedule 15 minutes with me. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
We've got a comment about, I've gained a lot of information that will help me enhance my business, such as getting your hub certification and your DBE. Absolutely. Those are two great certifications that you're going to want to get, and then leverage those certifications. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because on the portal, there's a video, just a quick little video. And these are just examples of places on the portal for you to go to visit to support the content that we're covering today, because we'd be here all day tomorrow, and all day even Sunday. If you like did a chord from my brain and Susan's brain and just kept going. And that's why we've got the portal, is for you to be able to get these answers on your time and on your schedule, and most importantly, one place. Right? Because a lot of this is you got to go here, you got to go here, you got to go here. We wanted to be able to be that one resource to help you get the majority of your information. Start there, and then you can go all of the different places. And look there, Susan, with all of her magic, was able to find the direct link to the opportunity that you were asking for regarding real estate brokerage, and it closes in 4 days. So I'm not sure if you had weekend plans. Right? One of the important tools that you will need in this space, whether it is formal or informal, is your capability statement. So if you could put in the chat, how many of you have a capability statement, right? Because you are going to need this, whether once again it's for a formal or an informal opportunity. Because remember, when I was showing those formal opportunities, they were looking for references, they were looking for capacity, they were looking for information on your business. A lot of prime contractors, if that's the route that you want to take, is targeting and marketing to prime contractors. You will need a capability statement and you will need to be registered in that respective prime contractors database. So you'll need to be registered in the agency's database as well as that respective primes. And we know a couple of hub coordinators and a couple of supplier diversity people and even a couple of buyers that won't even meet with you or allow you to have time on their schedule unless you have a capability statement. So we want to make sure that you've got all of the different tools in your toolbox to be able to do that. We also encourage, this is something that we cover in this strategy session, encourage when you are submitting your quote to a respective agency for an informal opportunity to include your capability statement, right? And then a lot of bonfires and ion waves and even sam.gov have a place for you to upload your capability statement. So Susan's dropping that link in the chat for you to get this 4-page capability statement worksheet, or if you're on your phone, you can hit the QR code. This is the worksheet. This is back to Susan and my brain of 20 years of what are the common things that they ask for on a capability statement and how to get it organized in this worksheet. So the worksheet is 4 pages, and it is why it is a worksheet to help you get every information for your 1-page capability statement. Susan, I see there a question.
Yeah, there is a question. And actually, hold on. How do you handle unhelpful hub coordinators or decentralized informal purchasing contracts? And that is a challenge with state agencies that have many locations. Their informal purchases are done at various locations. And how do we handle the embedded incumbent?
Thanks.
Very
Wow,
good
everybody
questions.
brought their questions on a Friday afternoon. So I'm going to unpack this a couple different ways. I would first give someone grace. Everyone is stretched very, very thin, and they are people, right? So let's start with first being kind. I would, think about the different ways that I have tried to contact that hub coordinator, whether it was just all through email. Well, maybe that's not the best platform. So have I also tried to call them, right? So making sure that I'm doing everything that I can on my end. Some agencies have multiple hub coordinators. We will be actually posting to the B2G Victory portal the purchasing heads as well as the lead buyers for every state agency in the state of Texas. So we downloaded that and we've got it organized, and we've even, Angela right now is working in the background to getting all of the socials for all of those agencies. So that is just another person that can help you. The state of Texas comptroller manages the entire hub program. So that is another way to reach out and see if you can get support. I encourage you to always be as professional as possible. And how do you handle the embedded incumbent? It depends if the incumbent is through a formal or an informal process. If you can't beat them, join them, right? If it's in the formal process, figure out what value you provide and that you can add to the project. All of this is fiscally transparent. So you are able to get the information, the purchasing information, the contract information, the proposal information through the Public Information Act. So you're able to get additional information. So maybe that incumbent is offering just crazy, ridiculous pricing, or maybe the incumbent is able to provide something that you're not, right? So when you do a bid tabulation and a debrief and submit for the Open Records Act, now I have all of the information so that I can look and see if this works to my advantage and in my space.
All right, so there is one additional question. Any advice for a one-person operation in the construction admin space trying to get my first contract? My experience stems from my previous employment. This sounds like Mr. Wilson, doesn't it?
Sure does.
I have a cap statement and an SOQ.
Okay. Susan, with your magic fingers, can you find in yesterday's presentation an example of this? Because we have helped a company, Wilson Unlimited. He had tons. Sir, maybe you and Dwight might be best good friends. Used to work for all of these big, large, ginormous prime contractors and said, hey, I can do this on my own. I have value. So obviously when he was starting his company in the first 6 months, Wilson Unlimited didn't have all of this experience. It all came from his previous employer. But I want you to remember that people do business with people they like and they trust. Companies send invoices to each other. Companies get registered. So if you are very clear on that this is the owner's experience, that this is the owner's expertise, then you're able to be able to communicate that, right? And then as your business grows that experience, then you'll update your capability statement in your SOQ. But it is super important that you list that it is either the owner's previous experience or owner's professional experience, and that you articulate that. We see this as well as in resumes for RFQs. This is the recent and relevant experience with the company that they're with now, but maybe some of these executives or project managers or construction directors or owners have all of this other experience. So in summary, I want to make sure that when you are communicating your previous employment experience, that it is recent and relative. Like I was a lifeguard when I was 17. That has absolutely nothing to do with winning a government contract, unless Susan and I decided that we wanted to be in the lifeguard business, right?
I don't swim well, so I'm going to go with no.
Yes, and I burn very quickly. So I wouldn't put that. I know that was kind of a silly answer, but I wanted to make sure to have people laugh.
Okay, so the other part of his question, what about handling decentralized purchasing agencies? For informal bids, those are often from either department or each, if an agency, and I see you're not from Texas, but I'm going to use Texas A&M for an example. Texas A&M has many campuses across the state of Texas. Actually, I believe there's one in Florida too, but anyway, so each one handles their informal processes. So you're literally going to have to find the buyers or the hub coordinators or the coordinator for whatever program that state agency uses and continue those conversations. I call it patiently persistent. Just being able to, reach out to them, suit up, show up where they're going to be. So I would have to kind of know what state you're in and kind of do a little research of where, because like the state of Texas has a calendar of events for all of the hub events so that you know where to go. So there is probably some sort of state program, very much like the hub in your state. Alabama has one. I know Louisiana has one.
New York has one.
So
Louisiana is the Hudson Initiative, right, Susan?
yes, Louisiana is the Hudson Initiative. They also have the Louisiana Central, where they do actually one program does certification for multiple agencies. So I'm not sure that answered your question, but without knowing exactly where you're at, I'm just we can just provide general information.
And if you want to put in the chat where you're at, then when we follow up with you, we'll be able to point you in the right direction. So you can email us at hello@b2gvictory.com, and Susan will drop that. So we want to kind of recognize that it is 12:30, and if anybody absolutely has to go, we respect that. If you'd like to, as we close our time together, go ahead and drop in the chat what you learned today and what are these action items, right? Because we want to make sure to continue to provide content, continue to provide value, and continue to provide education to help you be successful in this space. And Susan mentioned our events calendar. We spend a lot of time putting events on our calendar, not only events that we're involved in or sessions that we're doing, but other government agency partners and other agency programs. So you can visit the events calendar on our website, just dropping that in there. And then upcoming events, right, within the next month. Susan's headed all the way to the Valley to go to Laredo to talk about being hub ready from certifications to contracts. Then on August the 27th, back in person here in Houston for those of you, the hub blueprint contracting and hub certification essential. So that is an all-day class pretty much. But one of the great things about that class, actually there's many great things, but you're going to get, Susan's brain from 10 to 4 nonstop. And if you attend one of those sessions, then you get an additional free hour of coaching with their friends at Lift Fund through this grant. So amazing, amazing opportunity for an in-person all day. We understand that that might be a big commitment from some of you. And so those are every single month of the year. The September one, the October, November, all of those are all listed as well. So maybe August doesn't work for you. And then we've got these member only sessions every single month. We want to make sure that we're giving you immediate information now and then reminding you of all of the great information and all of the resources that you have anytime at your fingertips on the B2G Victory portal. We really do listen, and we want you to let us know what you think about this session as well. So Susan's going to drop our contact information in the chat, and just send us an email. Let us know where your pain points are, what other session content you would like. Make sure to connect with us on the various social channels as well. And we thank you for being here today. We thank you for your time. And any additional closing comments, Susan?
I do not. I do hope I see everyone. If you're in Texas, if you're in the Houston area and you're interested in the hub certification, we go through a lot of information about the state and how to find opportunities. We actually walk through, and as well as local and education.
Thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you soon, whether that is virtually, in person, or online. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again.